Hey,
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive.
Game over!
Take it light. Okay.
Now you're more fluent.
He's got three!
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
So I wanted to get in this day in NBA history real quick. October 9th, 1993, the first 10 players of the U.S. basketball dream team that would compete at the World Championships in Canada were announced. Dominique Wilkins, Joe Dumars, Mark Price, Derek Coleman, Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning, Sean Kemp, Dan Marley, Steve Smith, and this man underneath me, Tim Hardaway. I want to know from you, Tim, what'd you think when you got selected to the first one? And did you know that you'd be missing that year with the knee injury already? Or was that still up in the air?
That was still up in the air. I never knew. I got hurt during the season. Mm-hmm. So as I'm playing, I get hurt. And, I wasn't thinking about, going to the World Championships. I was just thinking about how can I maintain ACL tear at that. No, that was, when was that? That was
93.
Going was that 92 or 93? 93. 93. Yeah. Right. 93. I got hurt the beginning of practice in 93. The first day of practice, we signed Chris Webber. And I get hurt the first day of practice. And I wasn't even thinking about the World Championship, even when they even picked me while I was hurt, and they thought I would be able to come back, and I wasn't able to come back. And I was just there. I was walking around. I was watching practice. They even came down to Oakland and played an exhibition game, had a party for the team and all that type of stuff. But I wasn't able to go and play. It was just sad that I wasn't able to play. But it was sad that I wasn't able to play for my team. Yeah. And if you look back at that, if I was able to play, and we had Billy Owens, Chris Webber, and Latrell Sprewell, and if I was able to play, I would have been able to help those young guys understand Nelly and how they wanted their games, how he wanted their games to evolve the way it is today. That's how out the box Nelly was thinking, and it would have benefited them, Latrell Sprewell, Billy Owens, really Billy Owens and Webber, to play that way, because they had so much game. Their IQ to basketball was great, and their athleticism and their passing skills was ahead of people then, and it would have made our team better. But they butted heads, and it was kind of tough, and I wasn't around to make them understand what was good for our team and what would have helped them in their career. And that kind of hurt me, kind of hurt our team, and kind of hurt our organization at that particular time.
When I also want to say too that if you were there, then you guys would have probably had the best backup point guard in the NBA in Avery Johnson as well, and that would have really helped solidify your bench.
You know what? I don't think at that particular time they was looking at Avery Johnson to be my backup. I think that Avery Johnson came. We picked up Avery Johnson because he was a starter, and we needed somebody to come in and start and run the show. And they knew that he would come in and be that guy that could help the guys out. But, he was still, learning the offense. He didn't want to step on nobody's toes. And he was, he was a general. But, they was looking at me. They would have been looking at me because I was already up in the upper echelon, and I could have helped them with their game and understanding Nelly, because I was around Nelly. Avery just came in. He didn't really know Nelly, and he was trying to understand Nelly coaching philosophy. And I was there, and I know his philosophy, and I could have instilled it in them.
Sound like you were a go-between more than anything. You could have been a buffer, because
I was the buffer.
That's what it sounded like, to be honest with you, Tim, because we're talking about a guy in, I think it was in 93, you're in year 5 at that point, and you're the vet on the crew. So we got a bunch of young guys at that point. Spree had only been in the league for a year at that time. Webb was a rookie, and Avery Johnson was I think he was more insurance than
Billy Owens. What, 2 years? Billy came in 91.
Billy that was his second year. That would have been my 4th year, and then Webb first year, and and then we had Chris Mullen. We had the pieces. Then we had Chris Gallen coming off the bench, and then we had a couple other pieces coming off the bench, and we was looking really, really good. And I could have been that buffer to help those guys just understand Nelly and his philosophy and what needed to be done to make the team go.
Sure, absolutely. Tim, I always wondered, a guy from Chicago. How'd you end up at UTEP? Of all the schools, Paul, we're talking about, great schools on the East Coast, St. John's, Point Guard University, places like that. How did you end up at UTEP?
Porque él le gusta la frontera. That's the answer. The border's right there. It's a party town.
Nobody recruited me, man. Everybody thought I was too small. They was going for big guards. If you understand Illinois, they always had big guards. Derek Harper, 6'4", 6'5". Bruce, I forget his last name, but he was like 6'6". Kendall Gill, 6'6". Nick Anderson, 6'6". Bardo, 6'6". They had big guys. DePaul had Rod Strickland, because they was big on New York guys. Right. And so they had Rod Strickland. Other schools, they was going big, and they really wasn't convinced that I was able to come and play for their team and be successful on their team. So I went to UTEP, and UTEP wanted me right out the gate. They said, Don Haskins like playing small guards. And if you remember Don Haskins, he had 5 African Americans on his team to won the national championship. That started on his team in '66. He liked Bobby Joe Hill, B Kentucky and Pat Riley and those guys. He had Bobby Joe Hill at my height, 6 feet. He had Nate, the skate Archibald, came to his school after JUCO, came to Texas Western after JUCO. So he always had smaller guards to run his team. And, we always had confidence in ourselves to go out there and prove ourselves. We always behind the 8 ball. We was always, people was always scrutinized us because we were small, and we always had to prove ourselves. Sure. So that's why Don Haskins liked small guards.
Yes, great school.
Now that you're seeing, like, back then struggling as a small guard to be accepted, to be recruited, do you see the NBA, how it's changed now? And do you think, do you ever wish you were born a little bit later? Because it seems that all the small guards are getting all the love now. Does that ever cross your mind? Because I hear it from some others who say, I wish I played in today's NBA because of how the things have changed. I wonder if you ever think that way.
Do you know why they say that? Because they want their money.
That's it, Tim. It's nothing else. It's nothing else. It ain't got nothing to do with the game.
It ain't got nothing to do with the game. If they say they want to play in this era now because the way the game is, no, they lying to you. It's about the money. They want that money. We was born in that era for a reason. Yep. All right. We was born back then for a reason. Isaiah, small guy. All right. Myself, Nate Archibald. Bob Cousy, small guys. So, and we always had to be confident that we want to go out there and play amongst the big guys and prove ourselves. I did that podcast with what All the Smoke.
All right.
All And people criticize me talking about when I say practice. They think I'm getting on Allen Iverson. This ain't got nothing to do with Allen Iverson. This got to do with my story and what I'd had to do to become Tim Hardaway and make it to the NBA. None of this have to do with Allen Iverson. I'm not putting shade on Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson had a great career, you know, and we can't take nothing away from him. But when you tell me I'm putting shade on Allen Iverson, you're a goddamn lie. This is my story. Sure. This is what I did. I practice, and I practice again because I wanted to go out there and prove to everybody I was better than everybody. So when I say I practice, that has nothing to do, because I was born before Allen Iverson.
Right.
And I was playing this game before Allen Iverson. Way before. So when you telling me I'm throwing shade on a guy that's younger than me and I practice, that's a bunch of bullshit. And I want to tell everybody that don't fuck up my story, because this is my motherfucking story. Sure. This ain't Allen Iverson's story, and it ain't y'all's story. This is what I had to do. Sure. All right. And everybody be, you know, and I hear that, and I wish I could tell each and everybody that's want to throw shade at me to kiss my motherfucking ass. That's what I want to tell them, because they didn't grow up the way I grew up. They didn't do what I had to do. When I say I rode a bike with no seat on it, I ain't got to prove a motherfucking thing to you. All right. That's what I did. If you don't believe me, so motherfucking what? You don't believe me. But I rode a bike with no seat on it. And that's what I did. If you don't like it, forget you. So that's what I want to say to the people out there that don't believe what I did. You wasn't around what I did. You wasn't in there in gang situations what I was in. You wasn't riding a CTA bus an hour and a half to school and an hour and a half to back to home. You wasn't in the realm of shit where I was in the realm of shit. So when somebody, you know, they on this and Instagram and all that type of shit and throwing shade at me, fuck them.
And not enough. And by the way, not enough. Only the dough you had was to get on the bus and get home. I ain't had no dough to eat. I didn't. I only had enough dough. I only had enough dough to get on the bus and get back home. That was it.
If I had to play one-on-one to make money. And we're not talking about, you know, people playing for $20,000. We're not talking about people playing for $10,000. We was playing for $5. We was playing for $1. We was playing. It was all about who was best. That's what it was about most of the time. If you put $5 up, it made the game a lot better, but you were still out there competing to show that person that you was better than him.
Sure. And since you're on the subject of being better, Tim, at what point, because now you're at UTEP and you balling, and because Coach Haskins is giving you an opportunity, when did it start becoming a reality? You know, I might be able to play at the next level.
Another story. When I say about Michael Jordan playing in Summer League, all these guys or all these people say, oh, you didn't tell MJ that. You didn't tell MJ that. You didn't play against MJ. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You don't know what the hell I did. You wasn't there. It's people that I got at least 10,000 people that was there in the stands. All right. And they don't understand what was the moral to the fucking story. Yeah. The moral to the story is Michael Jordan turned around and looked me in my eye and said I had a chance. That was the moral of the story.
What age were you then? What age were you then?
Oh, man, I was going into my my junior year in college.
So you bought
87, 88, 20 years old. Michael said, he looked at me, he just said, yo, Tim, man, you got a chance. Looked me right in my eye and said, you got a chance. That's when I knew I had a chance. You know how that inch open up, that door open up inch? Yes. I kicked that door in and I made it a mile. And that's when I really, really, really started practicing and working on my game even more so I could be elite. So when people say, oh, you didn't say this to Mike, or you didn't do that, or you did blah, blah, blah. Yes, I did. But people forget the moral. The moral of the story is he said, you got a chance.
You know why the reason why they say that. The reason why they say that, Tim, is because they know Jordan today. They don't remember him when you remember them. Like when he
Oh
wasn't.
yeah, a lot of them wasn't even born.
Yeah, they'll know him like that. They don't remember
Right.
when he had hair and they used to call him Air Jordan. He would come to Chicago and play in the summer league. They don't know that dude. They just know the 6 championships. They don't know that dude, the guy that you're going up against in the summer league and you holding your own against, who's telling you,
Right.
yo, you nice, my man. I like your game. And of course, that's boosting your confidence to go, well, if he think that I'm nice, anybody that I go up against, I'm at UTEP, whether I'm in that league, I'll eat a last one of y'all lunch because this dude, I got respect from him. I can get with that, sure. I can definitely
Exactly.
What's even weird about that is it took that long for your confidence to build up, because I would think you, before your junior year, like, you probably would have been rookie of the year if it wasn't for David Robinson stealing your rookie of the year, which I'd give him shit if I were you. And then you come in a couple of years after your back-to-back 2010 seasons. Only 15 guys ever have averaged 2010. Guys like Stockton didn't, Peyton didn't, Cousy didn't, Nash didn't, Curry didn't. You know what I mean?
This
All
dude
these
did.
great point guards couldn't do
This dude
2010, and you were back there. So what I wanted to know off that is I was wondering what was holding you back, but more importantly, what do you think was your best season? Because I personally think 92 was your best season, but 97, you're all NBA first team. So which year do you think was your absolute zenith of Tim Hardaway?
I tell you this, I always had confidence. Always had confidence. Never shied away from my confidence. Go out there and play against anybody, anytime, anywhere. And I felt that whatever team I was on, I was going to win, no matter what. So I never shied confidence. I knew that I could make the NBA, but when you get that boost from a guy like Michael Jordan, a superstar, then that even takes it. It just even takes it another level. All right. But my best years, of course, 89, 90, 91, 92. And then, 90, then I get hurt in 93. Then I get hurt in 94. Then I go to even in that halfway point, getting traded to Miami in 95, 95 season, 95. We got traded February 95, lost to the Bulls that year in the first round.
That's the next year, 95, 96.
95, 96. We lose again, to the Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals. That was my a good year. And then, 96, 97 was a good year. And then I, got hurt a little bit towards the end. But, my 6 years in Golden State and my 6 years with the Miami Heat was the best years of my career. And a lot of people say choose. I can't choose. Though I can't choose Golden State or Miami. I choose both of them. So I had a great time. I had great organizations. I had great coaches. I had great teammates. So, those years from 89 through 2001, those were my best years.
So when you hear the name, when we hear the name, when everybody hears the name Tim Hardaway, the first thing that pops into everyone's mind, of course, is crossover, killer crossover. Tim Hardaway, the king of the crossover. How, when you're practicing, when you're growing up, where does that come? Are you watching other guys? How did you not only do it? Because I get it, you're messing around, but how do you perfect it? What is it? What is that process to now? It's like, again, now you're synonymous with this move. Where do you start that?
And by the way, Tim, for the record, I played major high school basketball and I played Division I basketball, and I was able to get a lot of things down. I could never get the killer crossover. I couldn't, as hard as I tried, I could never get it. I couldn't.
I think in high school, I played against some of the best guys that did not never make the NBA. I can name some names, going back to 85, 83, 82. I just played against a lot of guys that busted my ass now. That busted my ass in the streets of Chicago and in rec league. And I learned from them, and playing with NBA guys, I learned from them. But I credit all the way back to grammar school by the name of Donald Pittman. He instilled the work ethic in me. He instilled the confidence in me. He instilled, putting in the work and understanding what I need to do to be a complete basketball player. And then I just took that along my way with the fundamentals that he gave me. I never lost my fundamentals. I always went back to my fundamentals and understood what I need to do to stay better and to get better and to be above people. Sure. And I practice I used to, like, a lot of people say, how do you dribble like that? I used to dribble the ball all the time, up and down the street, walking the ball up and down the street for dollars. If I walk a ball between my legs down the street for one block, that's $1. If I don't, then I got to give them $1. So I used to walk a block going to the parks, 5 blocks, that's $5. 3 blocks, that's $3. So that's how 50 cents, whatever. That's how you made money back in the day. So you could eat and stuff like that. But, I used to dribble. We used to have this little game where it's on the sidewalk, and then out of bounds was the grass. You had to stay. It's about 5 of us, and if you dribble out of bounds, you had to give up the ball. It was just like what's that thing you play back and forth with the baseball? The guy got to run and he got to make it to the bases. I forget the name of that. But it's
no, when you practice, they call it pickle, but it's a different name now. Where it's
right, it's a different name.
The ball back and forth.
Yeah. But I used to dribble against 5 guys and hold this guy off or hold that guy off and knew how to move her and move that guy out the way. And right. I could make it 3 or 4 times, back and forth without going in the grass or without anybody stealing the ball away from me. So that's how I build my confidence up with dribbling the basketball. And I used to be downstairs in my unfinished basement, and I used to just dribble. I had 2 beams, and I used to do in and out move, crossovers, between the legs, spin moves, all type of stuff with the basketball. And I just, for about an hour and a half a day, thinking I'm, playing basketball with guys, 5 guys, 10 guys on the court, passing the ball and just up and down a small basement. And I just used to imagine myself, playing against people, riding my bike to the park, putting, 2 nets on each, a net on each rim, and just playing whole court by myself. I used to just imagine doing that by myself. So when these kids say, "Yo, Tim, I don't think, I don't like going outside working on my game," I come.
Where else was gonna do it? You couldn't do it nowhere else. There wasn't no gym.
It wasn't no gyms. We had to go outside and eat. And now you got a gym, and there's some gyms where you go an hour early, you go 45 minutes early, and you get some work in like that by yourself. But see, these kids don't have no imaginary mind to go out there and do that to get better. If you want to put some chairs out there, you just do it with chairs, but you're doing it by yourself and you're going game speed. So when you're going against somebody, you know how to do it. So yeah, man, that's what I used to do. That's how I got better. People say you couldn't shoot over people. I made myself go and make floaters, stop so I won't charge to nobody. Have a chair right there. Don't have a chair right there, but shoot floaters, stop and pop, get the ball, come down. And I just used to do moves. Just imagining, whoever I wanted to go against those 10 times up and down the court, I'm going against Tim Hardaway. So that's how my game evolved, and I knew that I was very confident in dribbling the basketball, and nobody could steal the ball away from me.
I listen. I'm not calling you out. But I'm going to say 2 things. One, I've had I coach youth basketball, and I have all my players in the key playing a game called Dribble Knockout, where they all try to dribble and keep the ball away from each other with one hand and then dribble with the other. None of them can cross over like you. No. 2, the fact that you're known for a move, like, Kareem's got the sky hook, Hardaway's got the crossover. I'm just letting you know, I was trying to get the secret cheat code to your crossover, and you did not share it. I don't know if you did that on purpose or not, but we're going to have another.
First of all, you got to stay under control. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. Second thing is you got to stay low with the basketball. Mm-hmm. You got to put the basketball below your knee. It can't be above your knee. It's got to be below your knee. If you watch James Harden does it from right to left. I used to do it from left to right. James Harden does it from right to left. He gets open to the basket all the time.
Right.
Because you want to go to your strong hand with it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
right.
So
well, I got dedication. I got a question because you were talking about the things that were growing up and all that. Did you ever play against Benji growing up in Chi?
That was my guy. A lot of people didn't know I knew Benji. We used to play basketball all the time during the summer. We used to play on pro team, on our own team. It was me, Benji, Nick Anderson, Byron Irvin,
Was it Kells in that mix?
Tracy Dildy, Gerald Haywood, from the South Side. We was from the South Side, so we used to go, and all 5 of us used to get on it. We used to have our own teams, 6 of us. Brian Leach. I go on and on and on, but it should be about 7 or 8 of us, and we used to have our own team, and we used to go to pro-ams and play against pros. And when we played, we used to have our little Nike bag. The pros used to have their little Gucci or Louis Vuitton bag. We used to have big Nike bags with shoes in it and stuff like that. And we used to go out there, man. I'm gonna tell you this, man. Ben Wilson, a phenomenal basketball player, 6'9", could do everything. Rebound, shoot a mid-range. He wasn't a three-point shooter, not yet, but three-point shooting, it wasn't three-point line yet in high school. But anything mid-range, and he was 6'9", and he was long. So if you ran a zone and you threw it to him, he could hold the ball up over his head, and you couldn't touch it if you jumped up there. That's how long he was at 6'9", 6'10". And he could handle the ball. He could do some wonderful things, man. And it was too bad that we didn't see him go further with his career. But I'm telling you this, man, he was a motherfucker, straight out motherfucker.
Speaking of seeing, that's probably one of my biggest regrets, Tim, because I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Jersey, born and raised. You played in Golden State. We don't live in the information age in the 80s, 90s like we do today, where you got NBA TV and ESPN and League Pass and all of that stuff. So I didn't get to see you nearly as much as I would like to have seen you, like you, Stockton. I only got to see you guys, whether you guys played the Lakers on Christmas or during the playoffs. I didn't really get to see you nearly as much as I would like to have seen you. I think people would have a different appreciation for you if you played today, not necessarily for the money, more because I know your game, right? Because we're also talking about a guy in Tim Hardaway who played against some of the better point guards back then. So this wouldn't be about the bread. So you had to deal with Stockton and Mark Price and Gary Payton and Magic.
Kevin Johnson.
I wanted to ask you about Kevin Johnson. I think he's criminally underrated.
Him and Rod Strickland, very underrated. Yeah. Very underrated. You didn't like playing against them. They'll make you look foolish. They make you look foolish.
Anthony Edwards said they had no skill.
And I'm gonna tell you this.
We're not gonna get you started, Tim. I'm
gonna tell you some blood pressure. You know what? I'm gonna tell you this.
We talked about this on the phone the other day.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this. Anthony Edwards wasn't even born when we was playing the game. He was born in what, 2002, 2001? He wasn't even born. So how he know what the game was then? He probably and if he was born back then, somebody would have probably shut him up a long time ago, and he probably would have stopped playing. That's back then in high school. You had guys that'll shut you up real quick. And tell you, yo, man, and talk about you real bad. And you had to be tough-skinned to come out there and play back then.
Right.
So in the same way with JJ Redick, he should be fortunate that he played those many years in the league. He couldn't even. We wouldn't even let him play in the streets of Chicago because first of all, you couldn't dribble. If you can't dribble, we wasn't gonna let you catch and shoot, because we would have ran you off every screen. And if you tried to shoot the ball, we would have been right there, so you wouldn't have made shots. And his slow ass, he couldn't even guard nobody. So what he's talking about is he don't know what he's talking about. He just kissing some people's ass. That's all.
Podcast the head coach. So speaking of skill, who's the most skilled player or toughest matchup, whichever one you want, that you had to deal with in your career? Like that dude that every time you had to match up, you're like, man, I don't want to deal with this. Whether obviously not out, like in your head, you're like, oh, this could be a tough night.
Oh, no question. Mark Price, Kevin Johnson, Gary Payton, even John Stockton. And and Rod Strickland. You know, those guys.
What was it about their game that you kind of
Oh,
that maybe people don't, because we know, like Mark Price, when you think of Price, you're like, oh, he's a good shooter. You know, Stockton, okay, he's a great passer. But what were those things that people don't realize that made them so tough?
Mark Price was quick. He was very quick, and on pick and rolls, he'd split you. He'd come off, shoot it. He ran the team. He made plays. When he came on a fast break, like I did, when he came on a fast break, you didn't know what he gonna do. You at his mercy. Same way with Kevin Johnson. Same way with Rod Strickland. Stockton, he only gonna shoot the ball in the quarters for 2 for 1. Or he might sneak one on you late in the game when they need one. You think he gonna come down and do something, and he'll pull up for a 3, and you be like, God damn it, he tricked me again. John Stockton just understood how to play, understood how to he masterminded the game, and you couldn't get him out of his game. Whatever you do, you push him down, foul on you. You know, he just played mind games with you, and you had to understand
the geometry of the game.
Yeah, no question. No question. He knew the geometry of the game. No question. Inside and out. You know, and you know, Gary Payton, a defensive threat. Can take over the game just playing defense. And then he, you know, next thing you know, he got 28 assists, 15, 10, 12 rebounds, and then he had like 4 or 5 steals, you know. So I mean, we our guys, we paid attention to details.
Yeah.
We paid attention to detail. Huh?
You didn't bring up Kenny Anderson, and he got a lot of skill.
Oh man, Kenny Anderson had a lot of skill too. You know, I mean, it's a lot of ball players out there back in the day that, you know, Chris Jackson, before he was Ahmad Rauf, you know, he changed his name. He was a beast too. You had to watch out for him. So I mean, it was a lot of guys out there, man, that can play, and you know, you had to play your best against them. I mean, you had to play your best. You had to get a good night's sleep to play against those guys. Don't be talking about, yeah, I'm going to hang out. No, get your sleep, get ready to play, have your energy up.
It's interesting you bring up defense too, Tim, because any of these guys know me and they know I'm a fan of the big man, and you played with Mourning. I think that something like that is going on right now in Miami. And the question is asked about, you know, what's the future of the Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler, and you know what the plan is. I'm in the minority. I'm ready to move off of buckets, and I want to move on with Bam, and I want to make Bam the center of the team.
I tell you this, I think everybody's mad, or not mad, tired of Jimmy Butler antics coming in training camp. You know, want to look crazy, want to be somebody different. I mean, this is basketball, man. You still got to go out here and play, you know. And I think they want him to be healthy all season long. I think, you know, it takes a lot out of Jimmy Butler. You got to understand, when you go to the play-in game, if you don't win, you out. So you got to put all your eggs in that basket and win, instead of having a week off. If you in the playoffs, you got a week off. If you in a playing game, you don't have a week off. You only got probably 2 days, maybe 3 days before you play again. And then it's every other day. It's every other day. And Jimmy needs his rest. He's a great player. He's outstanding basketball. He competes his butt off. All right, each and every game. But I tell you this, we want him to stay healthy, and we want him to be healthy.
Yep.
At the end of the season and going into the playoffs, not in the playing games. Because if you was playing and didn't miss because of low management, you wouldn't be in the playing game. You'd be in the playoffs. And, you know, everybody Bam to be that guy, but you still have to have a team. Still have to have tired. Here, he has to come and play. You know, he has to be, you know, healthy too. He plays well, but he has to be healthy. You know, the rest of those guys, they out there playing, man. They playing hard and they want to win, and that's what the Heat is all about. And that's what I think our frustration is with Jimmy.
So you brought up the play-in game, and so I hate what I'm about to ask you, but I want your opinion. How do you feel about the new play-in, the in-season tournament? Like, what are your thoughts on those two things?
You
Hey,
know,
Tim.
I think everybody was, yeah.
Tim, my man. Okay, I don't want you none of this politically correct bullshit neither. Okay,
Because I hate it.
none of this politically correct bullshit.
Hey, they kept him out of the
and
Hall of Fame for years because he ain't politically correct.
Because me and this dude, we go back and forth with this all the time. Tim, we already got to play in tournament. Okay,
It's called the
82 games. You got 82 games to get in the playoffs. If you can't get in the playoffs after 82 games, get your ass out of here. You ain't a playoff team.
That's exactly right. I think everybody was skeptical about it. Yep. I think everybody across the board, even the players, was skeptical about it. But I actually think the play-in game is like something where you can find yourself. Look at the Indiana Pacers. I don't think in 82 games they would have found themselves without the play-in game. But when they was in the play-in game and went to the championship, they lost, but they found themselves. They knew what they can do and they knew what they had, and they rolled that out during the season. So they come back this season and they could be really, really ready, understand what they need to do to take that next leap forward. You know, and you know, Lakers, I think LeBron, he tired himself out. You know, he wanted that playing a tournament so bad that he tired himself out, and I think he had some left, but he really didn't have a lot left during the course of the season. But he played his butt off, and he always played his butt off, so you can't take nothing away from him. But I think the playing game is we're gonna find another team. You know, it's gonna be a team that's going to win or go to that championship, and they're gonna find themselves and take their games to that next level, and we're gonna be talking about them this whole season. All right, the play-in tournament. I mean, the playing games. At the end, I like it. At the end of the season, I like it. I think it gives
the in-season tournament.
Yeah, I like the playing. Yeah, in-season tournament. You know, we were skeptical about it, but I think
I like
think
that.
people
I don't have a problem
like
with
it.
that. I'm good with that. I'm
right.
good with that.
Yeah, but the playing game, man, I like the playing game because you give. So if you 7th or 8th, and if you supposed to beat the 9th and 10th person, you got to beat them. The 9th and 10th team, you got to beat them. So because you supposed to be better than them. Now, of course, if you lose, you know that means that you shouldn't have been in anyway. You shouldn't have been in that 7th or 8th spot anyway.
But Timmy,
I understand that. I understand that.
Why do I have
understand
to? The whole season is going on, and now I busted my ass to get the 7th seed, and now what I got to do?
No, not really. Not really. You didn't bust your ass to get the 7th seed. If you bust your ass, you would have got the 6th seed.
Well, I wasn't that good. How about that? Now I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that, but I was playing as hard as I could. And as hard as I could.
Don't say. Let me. I'm gonna ask you a real good question. Okay.
Sure.
The Los Angeles Lakers, they've been in the play-in games the last 2 years. All right. Yes. Now, should they not have been in the play-in game, or should they have been in the 6th spot? If they come out and don't be losing them games early, getting down 15-20 early, then they wouldn't have been in the playing game. And then LeBron and AD got a week to prepare and the rest, and they'll be ready for the playoffs. See, that's my thing.
I won't argue that.
Okay.
I won't. That part I won't argue. You guys should be better, but there are teams that have fought themselves into the 7-8 seed, and I ain't even talking about before the play. This was before the play-in tournament started. I'm talking about teams that never were actually in the playoffs, but then actually fought to get the 7th spot. And now I got to play against the 10th place team. Tim, a team that's 8 games under 500. They ain't no playoff team. That's not a playoff team. They shouldn't be in my
issue.
You can't say that to the Miami Heat when they went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. You know, you can't say that to them. If you better than them, then you got to go out there and beat them. Boston Celtics when they lost to the Miami Heat. Right. You know what I'm saying? So the other team that lost to the Heat before that, you got to go out there and beat them. If you gonna let a playing team beat you, that means that you shouldn't have been in that spot.
That's fair, but
we'll have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
No, hey, I got a question for you because I've been battling this out for years. This is elementary asking me this because this was argument we had for years, and then another question following that. But one, who's the better Hardaway, you or Penny? And when you say you, can you tell us why you separate yourself from him?
I tell you this, I didn't have as many injuries, and it didn't stifle my career as Penny's stifled his career. Athletic wise, come on now, Penny. I'm gonna tell you this: when Penny was with Orlando, and for those 2 or 3 years that he was there, he could have competed for the MVP with Michael Jordan. That's how good Penny was. And then he got hurt with the fractured knee. That hampered his game a lot. But I'm gonna tell you this, man. My career, because I played more and I was in more meaningful games, even though they went to the championship. After that, I was, they played against us. We put them out in that first round, best out of 5.
In 97, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was like, man, and he was like that. Yeah. He was like that.
Sure.
Hey, and then what age did Junior beat you? And then what age did Junior start regularly be able to beat you?
He still can't beat him.
He beat me one time. No, he can't beat me in shooting. I can outshoot him. I get in his mind a little bit, outshoot him here and there. I be shooting tough shots like out of bounds over here, shooting over the backboard, all that type of stuff that Chris Mullin and Rod Higgins and Mitch Richmond taught me. So I be shooting horse like that. But in a one-on-one, man, I went for the ball. He crossed me over and I said, oh shit, he about to dunk the ball. And it was in front of people. So I turned around real quick and I went and I snatched him and I held him down. I said, no, you're not gonna be dunking in front of me.
Not on pops. No, we ain't doing that. No.
And not in front of company. And I said, you won. I said, you won. I'm not gonna play you again. I'm gonna leave it alone. So you up and all that, and I left it alone. So yeah, and I knew, and then I saw his growth. That was in high school, like a senior year in high school, and I let it go.
So it took about 18 years to beat you.
For you because the best days, my son's only 10, Fluent Junior's only 10, and I'm enjoying beating him. The second he can beat me, I'm like you. I'm gonna stop. That's it, no more.
Since we're on the subject,
you better enjoy it. You better
enjoy it now. Yep.
Really quick, Tim. Since we're on the subject of Junior, how you feeling about Detroit?
I'm liking it. I'm liking his opportunity here. I'm liking his how he's approaching everything. I'm liking how he's his confidence level up. I'm liking just like I said, his approach and going to take the challenge to go out there and have fun playing a game of basketball again, and not just standing in the corner waiting to receive the ball and see if he gonna get the ball or not. That's all. That can discourage a basketball player if you're not involved in offense, touching the ball. And a lot of people forget, he was number 1 in getting the 6th man a year. And then they made that trade, then his minutes went down. They was never up, and they wasn't, running offense. Point blank, they wasn't running offense. They was like sticking them in the corner, and that was, and that was that. And I the rest of it, I ain't got nothing else to say. I said what I had to say. That's over with. We moving on, new beginning. And I wish everybody is healthy, having fun, and let's see a great season across the board.
Absolutely.
Now you were an assistant in Detroit for a minute, an assistant coach. You didn't. Is that something you want to do again? Is that you had a taste for it and that's not for you? Like. Is that something you want to do? I tell you this, it's hard for me to coach guys that don't care.
He'd hate Jeff Teague.
So,
I never coached Jeff Teague, but it's just me. I just hate guys that don't care. You, as a coach, you put all into this, and it goes in one end, come out the other. They think they know it all. You tell somebody, yo, this is what they gonna do, this how they gonna do it, and they don't think that you know what you're saying. And then when you look at them, they like, oh, okay, so what? And that's what Nick Saban was saying. After they lost last year, he saw everybody laughing, not taking it seriously, not upset about losing, not caring how they lost and everything. And he knew that this year, if he would have coached, he would have beat them up, like run this, do that. He would have ran them in the ground. So that's why he quit. And he said, look, let me enjoy my family. I took them through a lot of stuff for 40 years, 50 or whatever it is. And let me enjoy my family and let me enjoy the rest of my life and let them deal with that stuff. And, that's the way I feel. I felt that, when you talk to these guys, they don't pay attention to detail. They out there, but they really not out there. You think they paying attention. They looking at you, but they really not paying attention. So I couldn't take that.
They ain't listening.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right.
I hear you.
They hear you, but they ain't listening. Exactly.
Tim, where do you think that attitude comes from?
AAU and being given stuff all the time, and you could transfer here and you could transfer there, and you go to this team, they give you a bunch of stuff. If you don't like it at the half a season, I'm out. I go over here and get this stuff, and Nike, Adidas, Under Armour giving you a bag load of stuff, and that all that stuff, like they entitled to stuff. Like I said, we grew up, even though we wanted better for our kids, sometimes you didn't work and if they want to play the game, understand it and go out and play well and do what they're supposed to do, not for them, but for the team, organization. Understand getting paid a lot of money, but damn, like some people, they like, fuck it.
Well, here I can tell you a trickle down effect. This happened a couple of years ago at the gym. How old am I at the time? 37, something like that. Anyways, there are like some high school kids playing, and I'm seeing what they're doing wrong. So I get on the court, and my team sucks talent-wise compared to these guys. But I go, if you guys listen to me and you play this way, we'll beat them. Okay? I said, one, constant motion. It's harder to defend a person in motion and all that. Anyways, and I go, and since we're out here, we might as well win the fucking thing. These kids told me, well, I don't want to play if you're going to curse at me.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't understand. I don't even get what I said. That would be offensive. Yeah. So it's a trickle down effect. Other kids, they see these people acting like that, and then they do the shit too. And then it's at the gym, it's at the junior high, it's at the whatever. Yeah. So I agree with you on that, because I've coached a little bit too, and I can't stand a lot of these little fuckers.
Yeah, I could just imagine. Man. If you say a cuss word and they be like, I don't like how you cussing, or you're not really listening to what I'm saying, that we can beat this team. You just listening to, I said a curse word. Forget going out here trying to beat this team, and I'm rallying you to win. So so when he get in the real world and say like he's a lawyer and his boss cuss at him, he gonna be like, well, I quit. You cursing at me? That's the funny part.
Tim, I'm still an advocate of what the 90s is and the lead guard, and a lot of people that I deal with, they think that the game started with them, right? A lot of them think that the game started, and because they think the game started with them, they forget about guys like you, and that's why we're here, because we see guys that are handling the basketball today, and we can introduce them to people like you, because they don't know that there was a guy 30 years ago who was super nice with the pill, just like Kyrie Irving, just like Tyrese Halliburton. There was a guy that was one of the better one-on-one players, that was one of the best distributors in the game.
And for the TikTokers saying Rajon Rondo's better than him.
Yeah, see,
They're sharing the same pipe as Delonte West.
right.
There's a
when
guy
they
that
say that.
move that we still can't do today.
Right. to this day. And I just want to be an advocate to say that thank you for everything that you did for the game, brother. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's just hard work and practice, and it pays off. And you know, it's a lot of guys today don't know the history of basketball, period. You know, if I say Al Attles, nobody don't, these guys wouldn't know Al Attles. Al Attles was way before me.
Players of the coach.
Yes. Al, as an NBA coach.
Yes.
If I say somebody like the Wizard, Walt Williams, that played for the Supersonics, downtown Freddie Brown. If I mention a guy and I say one of the baddest guys, if he didn't have bad feet, that fucked everybody up in the NBA for 1 or 2 seasons, they wouldn't even know him. Andrew Toney for the 76ers. He was the only one.
You mean the Boston Strangler? Is that who you're talking about?
Yes, him. He the only one. He's the only one that he got the ball on the side, and Dr. J, when he was posting up, he moved Dr. J over and say, "No, I got this now. This is my time right now." And Dr. J be like, "Okay, let me move over." Dr. J was the only one. He was the only one that could tell Dr. J that, and Dr. J moved out the way. But because he respected Andrew Toney. So a lot of these guys don't know. And another thing,
people don't know Bobby Dandridge. He scored the most points in the finals in the 70s.
Yeah, Rick Barry, and for Anthony Edwards to talk about the 90s and you don't even know your owner, and Alex Rodriguez, you don't even know who he is. That tells you a lot about his IQ of sports.
Hey, the Timberwolves don't have Garnett's jersey retired, so that tells you a lot about the organization. Period.
Well, that's something between Kevin and Minnesota, and the owner and stuff like that. And please don't even get Kevin, talking about that. That's an hour rant with him.
But at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. Whatever the personal issue is, the jersey belongs in the raft. That dude is Timberwolves basketball.
It's not a jersey. It's not the jersey belongs in the Raptors. There should be a statue of him outside the arena.
No question. He's the best player they've ever had, and it's not ever had.
He is the franchise. He is
and played his ass off every night he stepped on the court. He gave 3,000%.
That's 100%, Tim. So,
hey, can I ask you a question? Who's your top 5 of all time?
Oh man, everybody asks me, you go way back to this and that. Who is this? Who is that? It's not about putting shade on this person, that person. Like I always said, nobody talk about Kobe, but because he's out of sight, out of mind. If Kobe was in sight, everybody be talking about him. God rest his soul. So I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, no question. Kareem. Okay. Then you go whoever. I go Hakeem Olajuwon. Some people be mad at that. Then you go Tim Duncan. Some people be mad at that.
The best player I've ever seen play basketball. 95 Hakeem's the best player I've ever seen play basketball.
Man, Hakeem was a bad boy throughout his whole career. All right. So I could put Kareem. Kareem. I go like this: Kareem, Magic, Michael. Let me see. Tim Duncan.
Magic Mike, you got 3.
Tim Duncan, sure.
Tim Duncan.
And man, that next one is that next one's gonna be tough, man. I always change it up, all the time. But yeah, I go Hakeem Olajuwon. Yes. Hakeem was a beast, man. Hakeem was a beast.
Yeah. So, hey Tim,
can you say our tagline for us? Can you say, "And now you're more fluent"?
That's a tagline.
That's our tag, because we're trying to educate, get people more, involved with basketball and the real story and what it is. And we say, "And now you're more fluent."
And now you're more fluent.
There you go.
Here we go.
Hey, Tim, I appreciate you, brother. No question.
They
about
appreciate you all too. Thanks for
Absolutely.
contacting me.
Yes.
Appreciate
Yeah,
you
if you
all.
ever want to come back
Keep
on again,
doing
please
your
do.
stuff.
Yeah, so many more stories.
Just give me a call in about give me a call after the season or midway through the season. We could talk some, about the end season tournament, but it's called something else now. I forget what it's called.
Detroit.
The Emirates World, the Emirates Cup is what it is.
Yeah, the
now.
Emirates
Well, hey, I'll call you before the playoffs start. Hold on, but just to do it, give me your predictions. Who's the top 4 teams? Who's the 2 teams in the East? Who's the 2 teams in the West? And then who's going to be in the finals and who's going to win it? And then we'll call you in 6 months and see how your predictions hold up.
2 teams in the East. I'm going New York Knicks and Boston Celtics.
Okay.
2 teams in the West. Denver Nuggets and OKC.
Mhm.
Wow.
In the championship, OKC versus Boston.
And who you got winning right now?
Oh, I got Boston winning another one.
You got a repeat champion. How about that?
Yep.
Got a repeat
All right,
champion.
first one of the 2020s. All right, y'all, we out. Special thanks to our guest, the killer crossover himself, Mr. Tim Hardaway, Chi-Town's finest. Appreciate y'all. We'll check y'all later. And now
Yes,
you are
sir.
more fluent.
Yes, you are.